Covering the Universal Orlando Resort for over 5 years, you are listening to the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 194 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. My name's Hunter, and it's going to be a little different from usual this week. We had theme park creator Gary Goddard lined up to talk to us about T2 3D this week, but unfortunately, due to an illness and some traveling, we have put that on the back burner, but we should have him on in a few weeks. So keep listening to the podcast as it promises to be a great episode. Just real quick, wanted to tell you all that don't forget, United Kingdom listeners, this is your month to go to iTunes and subscribe to the show, leave a rating and a review, and at the end of the month, you could win a $25 Universal gift card, but only if you leave a 5-star rating. I'm just kidding. Leave whatever rating you want. You'll still be put in the drawing, but once again, this is for the United Kingdom listeners this month. On to this week's show, but please, real quick, before I continue this, leave a 5-star. It helps us so much. Thank you. Once again, on to this week's show. We're taking a little bit of a break this week, but we have some great audio for you. Recently, the Entertainment Designers Forum was held once again in Orlando. This is the Universal relevant content from the first Q&A panel, which contained Mike Aiello of Halloween Horror Nights fame, makeup artist Michael Burnett, and actors James Keaton, who's known as portraying Jack the Clown, the Shrunken Head, and the Mystic Fountain, and Erin Cline, who was Chance. We hope you enjoy this great Q&A with some of the Universal team, and we'll see you back here next week. Until then, live the adventure.
Okay, Michael, can you tell us a little bit about what your title is and what you do?
I'm the designer for prosthetics and makeup, character development at Universal Studios. I've been at Universal here in Florida now. This will be my 13th Halloween. I started back in the 80s doing movies and working at Universal Hollywood. So I've had a long relationship with Universal, and right now we're developing some new things. We've got Mardi Gras going on right now, and getting ready for Halloween for this year.
All right, thank you. Next we have James Keaton.
Hi everybody, I'm James Keaton.
Please tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a performer for Universal. I've been with Universal for 1933. 24 years. So I started off as Bullwinkle. That awesome show, Bullwinkle. That's now Transformers. That's pretty cool. And then I was in the first Bill and Ted. And I started just doing a whole bunch of roles after that. Bill and Ted, Doc Brown was I think the first thing I did for Bill and Ted. And Beetlejuice, and I don't know what else I had. Page Master, and all kinds of crazy characters. And I started doing Jack in 2000. I was lucky enough to be picked to wear the makeup and the Grinch, and now I'm a Shrunken Head and a Mystic Fountain. I have a nice retirement gig, Universal. Sit down all day, so it's pretty awesome. And I worked with Disney for a little bit. Yep, I worked with some interactive stuff, so I worked with Turtle Talk and Monsters, Inc.
Okay, thank you, James. Erin Brown, tell us a little about what you do.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Hey. Woo! Happy to be here. I have been in Orlando and with Universal for, this is my 10th year this year. Started in 2007 when Michael Roddy cast me as Chance for the very first time, and then with her last year. I've done Bill and Ted's a number of years. I currently am full-time as Lucille Ball at Universal. And I see some of your faces on the street all the time. And I do, I've been acting since I was 15, so I do film, television, commercials, whatever I can get my hands on, so.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Mike Aiello. I'm Director of Creative Development for Universal Orlando, and I will be with Universal 20 years next week. 20 years, Michael. 20 years. I've been there 20 years. Oh, James trained Michael Roddy as Dudley too. But yeah, over those 20 years, I was in Ryan Show and Jaws. That was my first gig. And over the 20 years, I've been able to do a lot of different stuff. I was a performer for many years as the Grinch with James as well. I was one of the walk-around jacks the first year for Halloween Horror Nights. Character, horror makeup show, Blues Brother, Poseidon's Fury. Yeah, a lot of performing gigs. But around 2002, I transitioned as a writer for Universal Orlando, mainly helping Michael Roddy in 2002 write Bill and Ted's Excellent Holiday Adventure, and that was kind of my gateway into the creative realm of entertainment. I now lead the creative development team in all of the new content that comes into Universal Orlando. Anything with a live person, or that's a marquee show, or a nighttime show. I've been all the creative lead on Diagon Alley, Entertainment Diagon Alley, as well as Hogsmeade, and I was the creative director for Universal Cinematic Spectacular. And then I'm creative for Halloween Horror Nights. That's like kind of the 365-day-a-year gig. But it's a lot of fun, and thank you all for being here. Ray, thanks for doing this. Cam, thanks for putting it up. Thank you for the rep for doing this. Cool. That's what I got.
I want you to hold on. I'm going to start the first hard-hitting question.
Okay.
To break the ice.
Okay.
And I want to start with you.
Okay.
Because you're the man, you know. Pretend you're in the actor's studio, okay? You know that? Behind the actor's studio.
My son's in the front row laughing his head off, by the way. I do this for him.
Alright, and this is going to be for everybody, so you've got to think hard. If your creative works were edible, what would they taste like? Aiello, what do you taste like? I'm like a hot apple cider with cinnamon.
Okay, alright, let's see. Whoa, that is a really cool question. If my creative works were edible,
I love this.
Okay, I'll narrow it down. For Halloween, okay, Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween would start off relatively unassuming. You know, it's a little bit.
Is it going to be a multi-course?
It could be. It's like the what is it? The Gobstopper? Yeah. Everlasting Gobstopper? No, it's the violet. You're turning violet.
The chewing gum.
Yes, it's the chewing gum. That's what it is. So it's unassuming at first, and then it's like Tabasco hot sauce out of nowhere, and it's probably like ice cream, so you weren't expecting it, and then it tastes like Tabasco, and you are a fan of Tabasco.
Does anybody want to follow that? Erin, do you have a flavor? Ooh, that was uncomfortable.
It wasn't my question.
I apologize in advance if this gets a little PG-13.
We're all adults here, well, except for Kate. That's good, Kate. Cover your ears.
When you asked that question, two things popped into my mind. So, I found out after my run as Chance this past year that in my break space as Lucy, the Atmosphere characters had a little nickname for me. We all remember my costume, yes?
Yeah, I think we all know your costume.
My nickname was Wonder Bread. It would seem as though lots of my costumes and the characters that I play showcase my enhancements in the Northern Hemisphere. So, you know, Wonder Bread and milk. Got milk. That's what I was thinking when you said that. I'm sorry, I'm impulsive.
James, take the mic, take the mic.
That was a better answer than Aiello.
That's usually the case.
It's going to be totally boring. I would say vanilla, and the reason why I say vanilla is because with vanilla ice cream, you add stuff on top of it to enhance or change, and I think that's pretty much I am the most vanilla person ever. But once you put me in some makeup or a costume or a wig, and it's a Sunday, or it turns into something completely different. So I'll just go ahead and say vanilla.
Okay, that's good.
Always be.
The first thing you say, everything that I do, the bulk of what I do, always involves some kind of rubber. So, hey now. I didn't think I'd take it down that far. Like silicone rubber or foam rubber or latex rubber. And so, I'm not wearing any.
I am so glad I asked this as the first question.
So, I guess not really a flavor, but I just thought of more of a texture. Like, just chewy. So, all right, I'll leave it at that.
All right, Mike Aiello.
Yeah.
This is going to be a question for everybody. Has nothing to do with what you taste like. What is your muse? What is it that inspires you, that makes you want to do what you want to do? What gives you ideas, or makes you want to try harder in what you do in your career?
This is going to be like the pull heartstrings answer, but it really is the people that we get to work with that allow us to be able to kind of propel forward and keep each other kind of built up, because that's also a really key thing in the business that we're in, especially lately, because I can speak for everybody up here, it's not getting any slower. It's just more and more and more and more and more. So building a family of people that you can rely on and that we make each other better, that's really important. As far as why I think I create the way that I specifically create is I'm a complete nerd.
I think there are several nerds out here. Nerds get things done.
I'm a movie geek, I'm a comic book geek, I'm a film nerd, I like books. I had hardly any friends growing up. I was in my room in front of a mirror doing faces with a Charlie McCarthy, ventriloquist doll.
Hey, Keaton, does he still do that? Does he still make faces? We're going to interview you next year.
Yes. There's a seat right here. No. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's really kind of pulling from the things you love. It's pulling from the things you love. I think any artist or creative person is pulling from the things that they love. And whether it has something to do with the creative output in general, it's still inside you. It's that love of the one thing that you love to do that propels you forward. I love to write. I love to imagine. Any artist up here, these are the things that they love to do. They go into that place at any moment they can and try and just imagine things. And then you're lucky enough to be able to actually see some of these things actually happen. There's a lot that never does, that never sees the light of day, of really great and cool ideas that are billions and billions of dollars. But there are those moments where you're able to put a thought down on paper, and because of the team, because of your passion, because of the things you want to do, you're able to see that idea become something. And that is amazing. That is the coolest thing in the world. It's something that I don't think anybody takes for granted that's in this business, to be able to see that progression. So yeah, that's the long answer.
Thanks, that was good, Mike, thank you, it was great. Erin, how about you? I'm curious, having two entertainers on the panel, of getting your perspectives of how you are inspired with performances or by other people's performances or something that you strive for.
Right. I will say that I think every performer has at least one person in the business that they admire or that, encourages them to be better. And for me, that person is Gary Oldman. I have loved that man since True Romance. And his ability to transform and to completely immerse himself into his characters is something that I truly admire and that I just really aspire to be. And so I kind of set out to play a vast array of characters in hopes that I could escape kind of, and it's kind of a dark word, it's not, it's certainly not a bad thing. Playing dark roles like Jack and Chance, yes, you absolutely certainly have to go to a dark place, and your experiences certainly make you better. Bad experiences, good experiences, you.
Yeah, it's like a filing cabinet, I think.
Yeah.
The experiences get put in your brain. So when you hit a speed bump, you're like, oh yeah, I remember when this happened. I'm not going to go there this time. It's kind of an editing process. You finished?
I knew you should have sat next to each other. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretend.
It's pretend, but my gosh, when when you're on stage with someone like this man, it's not pretend. It's very real, and it's very wonderful, and it's very in the moment. And I certainly strive to be in an ensemble experience where I can have those experiences with other people that are giving me as much as hopefully I'm giving them. And I think it's kind of a cliche term, but you don't win awards. Your scene partner wins them for you. So yeah.
And this year she won, right, everybody?
Thank you. You go now.
2007 was like, oh, that's Jack's show. And then this show, I wanted to make sure that this was Chance's show. She was awesome. And it was amazing. And we found so many levels. So I'll start off with my muse is pretend, because I just love to pretend. I love to be creative. And I want to say that when you start off, I'm speaking as an old man, elder statesman, which is really odd for me to say. But when you're younger, you go for laughs. You want people to laugh and think you're great and you're awesome. And now I realize, as I've gotten older, I'm more concentrated on connecting with the individual. So even as a Shrunken head or as a fountain, I just want to get to know what's happening with that person. What are they doing? What do they like? So it's sort of like pretend, but at the same time, it's kind of connecting on a human level in an abstract way. Because I am a Shrunken head trying to relate to a small child, or I'm a fountain, and I'm hearing a kid tell me they want to be a YouTube star when they grow up, and I'm like, okay, cool, it's awesome. But it's a little bit more of a connection. It's not so, I don't worry so much about the cheap laughs or the cheap, gags. And I think you saw that this year with our show. I thought our show was elevated more compared to pop culture references and stuff that we had. I think it was fun to kind of bring a whole new level and bring a little bit more kind of an adult aspect, but still keep the element of pretend, which is the greatest thing ever.
Okay, thank you, James.
So, like Mike said, I mean, my interest in all this started because I grew up as a nerd, loving horror films and comic books and science fiction because I could escape into it, like he was saying. But the characters always really intrigued me, and the making of them. And one of my favorite to this day movies was Frankenstein, and how that was created, and that's what it kind of feels like when you do a makeup effect. You create this thing that didn't exist before, and what really gets me going nowadays with it, continuing with it, is to bring that and to work with with Erin and James, and be able to take that and help them transform and to see it. Because when we sculpt it, it's inanimate. We sculpt it, we mold it, we go through all these processes, which are fun, they're artistic, but it's just a piece of rubber at that point. But then when we glue it onto their face, it becomes a real creature, it becomes a character, and you see it come alive. And especially when you work with performers like these two, that they're really in it, and it is a collaborative thing, because we'll say, we'll all have a design, but they'll look at it and go, if it went this way, or if you did this, I could do this expression with it. And so that kind of thing really is what really inspires me and gets me to, like you said, wake up every morning and I love to go to work. Actually, I don't. I go to play. I haven't felt like I've worked a day in my life. It is so much fun, and it's a great group to work with.
I'll go back to Michael Burnett then. Question.
Yeah.
Not the same question.
I said I just answered.
Let's see. I want you to tell us about some of your credits, movies and television. When I first met you, you were just like a god because you worked on things that it was like, oh my God.
Well,
When did you start? Let me ask you that question. When did you start as part of a crew working on productions like that, like movies and television?
Well, I grew up in California. I graduated high school in 1981, which was the 80s were the beginning of the the horror, Freddy and Jason and all that. And I was kind of in the right place at the right time. There weren't as many people as there are now doing it. My first credit, my first film I worked on, I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was Cocoon, if anybody saw Cocoon. So I worked on, didn't actually get a screen credit, but I worked on some of the alien puppets for that movie. But, and I worked on films all through, I worked on Star Trek. That's a cool story for me, because I grew up watching. Star Trek. I wasn't even old enough to watch it when it was originally on. I watched it in reruns, watched the various series, and then I got to work on it. Very few shows, and that's the only show that I could think of that was actually still on. If 20 years later, you'd be old enough to work on. So I worked on the last 3 series of Star Trek. So that was pretty cool.
That's very cool. I heard you made a talking parquet margarine, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I remember when you told me that.
I did the last. Yeah, that's another one that was like. If you guys, the young, I bet you don't know about that. But there used to be, when the TV commercials, there was a parquet tub and it would talk, and it was literally just
butter.
It would say butter and hey now. And they would just argue with it, but it was literally a plastic tub with a rod coming up through the bottom, and it would just open and close. So I worked with a puppeteer named Tony Urbano, who puppeteered tons of stuff. The Snuggle Bear, he puppeteered the little worm creatures in Men in Black, tons of stuff. And I worked on a Subway commercial with him where I made a talking Subway sandwich, and he puppeteered it. It literally, and it was the craziest casting session I ever went to in my life. I met Tony and the producer and the director at a Subway sandwich store that had not opened yet. They were just getting ready to open, and they baked like 200 pieces of bread. I will get to the parquet, don't worry. I haven't forgotten. They baked like 200 Subway rolls, and we had them lined up, and we went along, and he's like, well, I don't know if the character of that bun says. I was like, really? Okay. And we spent several, hour and a half looking at buns, not the kind that I preferred, but so we picked out the bun, and I had it carefully wrapped in some foam, and I remember driving home looking at this bun that was like, I couldn't believe it, just laughing all the way that what I just went through. But anyway, I molded that bun and turned it into a hand puppet. And he could actually, so Tony got below the table and articulated it, and he was also the puppeteer for parquet, but he really liked how you could get this lip syncing. So he said, hey, can we do the parquet tub that way? I said, sure, that would be great. So I made a foam latex parquet tub that worked out pretty well, but it didn't translate. On commercials, when they do a product, they're really particular about the color, and they take a lot of the writing off. It's just the logos, and they have really special things. So they're really, really particular about it. But foam latex is it lends itself to organic. It looked great as a bun, but it did not work so well as a tub because it shrank, and just all kinds of crazy technical reasons. So it was a really tough one, but it was cool to do. I did that. Later made an actual radio-controlled one that was silicone, and I think that was the very last one for a while. I don't know if they ever picked it up again, but that was a really long-running ad campaign.
That's cool. It's fun. You still have it? Did you say you still have the?
I still have the foam latex one. Yeah, I still have the foam latex parquet tub.
Something else I wanted to ask you. I know there are a lot of Face Off fans. I know that Jenny and I watch Face Off all the time. It's a new generation of makeup artists are coming out of it from an interest in the show. Is there room for the self-taught makeup artist nowadays? Can somebody who's just been practicing and working on makeup at home, like a lot of people did who are now professionals, is there room to get a job as a full-time makeup artist, or do you think they need to go to a makeup school in order to be considered?
No, well, for Face Off, or you mean?
Oh no, for in the business, movies and television.
You don't. You absolutely don't. I didn't go to makeup school. I'm self-taught. I learned more. I learned more. I learned through books and videos, VHS, if anybody remembers that, and self-taught. Basically self-taught to the point where I started working in the businesses and learning from. Started out doing basic jobs and helping people and learning and working my way up that way. And I think that's the best way to do it.
So would it be, for any budding makeup artist, it's just build a portfolio and show it around? Do you think that works today?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I look at, I've literally interviewed thousands now at this point of makeup artists. I had a shop in California for 20 plus years before I came here, and now I hired the makeup artist for Universal. I've done that for the last 13 years. And I look at a lot of portfolios, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be in a school. It's really about what you do. It's all about what. Because I went to I went to college at Cal State Fullerton. I was a theater major, but I never finished. I dropped out as a junior because I was working. I don't recommend that to the kids here. Just don't do that now. Especially if you want to be a makeup artist. I was very lucky. I got into it at a time where I turned down jobs. There were a lot more jobs than there were makeup artists. That's not the case anymore. But people who are very persistent, and if it's really what you want to do, there is a lot of competition, but it's definitely possible. I meet people all the time.
Good. That's good. It's glad to hear that. It's good.
In fact, speaking of the VHS, one of the things, because it was difficult when I got into it, there wasn't, you couldn't Google how to make a prosthetic. There was no internet. So it was Fangoria magazine and Famous Monsters magazine, and it was a very difficult way to, it was very difficult to learn some of this stuff. So I actually made a set of videos, again, back in the VHS days. And a lot of people, I go to conventions now, and a couple of the guys that work on Walking Dead, they had my videos as kids and learned, and now they're working on Walking Dead doing makeup. So it's definitely possible still to do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. That was great.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th wonder of the world is returning to Universal Orlando Resort. So let our friends at Fairy Godmother Travel take care of the resort reservation. They are a Universal Parks and Resorts specialist, as well as being an authorised Disney vacation planner, and their service is free to you. From the awesome Cabana Bay Hotel to those other hotels run by a mouse, Fairy Godmother Travel can book all your Orlando vacation needs. So you don't need to miss the chance to see the amazing King Kong in the flesh. And please make sure to let them know that you heard about Fairy Godmother Travel because of UUOP. Because every UUOP referral helps us to continue to bring you the greatest Universal coverage. Contact them today by phone at 832-284-4002 or toll free at 888-939-642539 or go to fairygodmothertravel.com.
Let Fairy Godmother Travel make your next vacation magical.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Back to James. I guess we could switch those microphones. All right, everybody. James Keaton is back. Well, as far as you're speaking to us now.
All right, yes.
Jack the Clown. We have to talk about Jack.
All right.
When did you say you first portrayed Jack?
2000. Yeah, Horror Nights 10.
How did that happen? How were you discovered?
I think it was the Bill and Ted shows, because I played about 4 or 5 different characters. I did like Doc Brown, I did Ted, I think they afterwards did the monkey, did the Klingons. I was like the makeup guy at the time. I lucked out and happened to be the guy who loved to, hey, he'll wear it. And Beetlejuice, by the way, Beetlejuice. So I was Beetlejuice a lot. So I think working with the makeup department through Beetlejuice and with Roddy and Kim, I think they were just like, let's try the makeup. And I think Jim Hudenberg started it, and they were like, well, we'll get James, because James moves stuff on his face all the time. And so I lucked out. I always say I'm like the Jeremy Bullock of the Horror Nights. Jeremy Bullock in every panel, he always goes, I was the lucky guy they threw the Boba Fett costume on me, and I was Boba Fett. That's exactly how I was with Jack the Clown. There was no audition. I was just the lucky guy who they threw the makeup on. They did some makeup tests. And I want to say another week later, we did those photos where you see me like with the curtains, the red curtains, those early photos. Those were all done in the Jack in the Box. Those were done in I want to say publicity's office. They just pushed stuff aside and put a red drape and we just took some pictures and that was that. And then next thing I know, they threw me out in the street and we did a little test in front of the public. Rodney's shaking his head. We did a little test on the phone.
Just so you know, we have almost everybody who created that first Jack, including James Michael Roddy, who is up here.
Yeah!
The very first pieces of concept art of what Jack's makeup would look like. Kim Grummel used Roddy. Kim's up here. You want to Kim? So we actually, Roddy was the model for Jack. So if you see the original artwork of Jack the Clown, it's no mistaking that it is Michael Roddy. And then. Oh, and David Hughes' hands. Look at that. Look at his hands. David, show us your hands. Look at that. Terrible.
So actually, Roddy might even know more about how I kind of got picked to put the makeup on. And then they did the test. And then I know I've told that story a couple of times, where we went down to Orlando. So you've seen the photos of the park bench.
That is one of my favorite photos ever. It's Jack the Clown sitting very lonely on a park bench at Lake Eola Park.
Lake Eola.
With some pigeons looking at him.
They bought me some popcorn. I was feeding the pigeons. And this is before anybody knew what Jack the Clown was. I want to say that billboard was just a closed Jack in the Box. And they just said something's coming, or maybe not said anything. And so we're going to take you out the street. And at the same time I was doing this, I was delivering Jack in the Boxes to all the news outlets, but I wasn't allowed to say where I was from. And this is before Horror Nights was like the big deal that it is. So I went to some news, I remember ABC, whatever the ABC affiliate. I went in there and I kept getting turned away. I was like, yes, I gotta deliver this box to your news director. And they're like, well, you can't go in there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just wait right over here. So I just sat there. And then people were kind of going in and out. And finally this guy came out and there was this beautiful woman, like she was made up. She was going to be a news anchor, she was gorgeous. So she was like kind of sitting next to me, and she's just ready for an interview. I'm sure it was like the most important day of her life, to be a newscaster, a reporter. And she's sitting next to me, and I'm sitting here with my Jack in the Box. And, it wasn't really quite bombastic at the time. I was still kind of, evil clown. And then finally, a guy opened the door for her. He called her name, Susan or whatever. She stood up, and then he held the door open, and he goes, "Hold on a second." And then he looked at me. And I go, oh, he's talking to me. This may be the news director. So I walked up and I was like, hey, we're gonna have a little party in October, and I'm gonna give this to the news director. And I go, can I give it to him? And he just looked at me. No. How about I give you this little present and you give it to the news director? No. So you're telling me I'm not gonna be able to leave my present for the news director? Yes. So then I looked at the little Jack who's out of his box. I go, nobody wants you. Excuse my French. God damn it to hell! And then I ran and kicked their door open, and they have a fountain, and I jumped in their fountain and ran through the water. And there was publicity with the van with the door open. I run through the water. 4 guys come bailing out of there to come get me, security. I jump into the van, he goes zooming off, and 4 guys are writing down the license plate number, and they never got their Jack in the Box. we started getting late at night. I was in the makeup for about 12 hours. We had a bank robbery going on. The cops wanted me to rip off my face because there was an attempted bank robbery. And they found out I was with Horror Nights, and then the mayor, I threatened to see the mayor. I went to the county, I went to the city hall, and I was like, hey, where's the mayor? I'm having I was talking to like Jack was coming to Orlando, like, hey, I gotta meet the important people. So they're like, the mayor,
roaming the streets of Orlando.
I was just roaming the streets of Orlando, and then
looking for attention.
Yeah, I was just walking around. There actually was no attention because I really didn't have a grasp of the character. Also, he wasn't recognizable yet, so it really was kind of a weird feeling of like, how much can I go with this? Because I'm dressed up, but like I said, you ran into cops, you think I'm involved in some bank robbery and this and that. So I was kind of like, well, damn, there's nobody here to protect me because it was like 4 PR girls, like way off. Like they're like 2 blocks away. So even when the cop was asking me for my ID, I was like, I left it in my other clown pants. I was like looking at them like, and the cop's like, take off the mask. I go, I can't take off the mask. I go, I'm not messing with you. Like, you got real serious. I go, you guys get over here and tell them that it was Universal. And they would tell them little by little. And actually, that news affiliate, they would track the license plate because they took all the stuff that said Universal on it. So you'd never know this van was from Universal. So I just jumped into a white van. It's crazy. So I remember they were like, so when they found out it was Universal, they got an earful from them too. I just was freaking everybody out. And same with Channel 13, they were done for the night. So I went to, so this is like pitch black, Channel 13 News downtown. They're like, what's the last Jack in the Box we gotta give? Okay. And no one's there at the door. So I go to their little door and it's like, you know, like the little security camera. So you just see this clown. I had the box and I sat down. I remember looking up at the camera and I just went. I took off. And again, needless to say, the cops were called and they're like, hey! So towards the end of the night, and then towards the end of the night, then people started getting drunk, and then I started getting like, hey, I hate clowns. I kick around. Oh, no. And again, I had 2 PR girls that protect me, so I was like, girls, I think it's time we need to wrap this up. I'm gonna get beaten up. But yeah, we did that, and we're downtown with the Swans, and
oh yeah, I've seen the Swan photos.
The Swan boat.
Jack the Clown, again, all by himself in the middle of Lake Aiello. I was Swan boat.
I was with some homeless guys. We cleaned windows on Church Street. And then we even went to the Florida Mall one time. And we went to Florida Mall and we kind of walked in. And again, I can't really raise a ruckus because I'm not at Universal. Universal, I can do whatever I want because I'm in my environment. So when I'm always a guest, it's really bizarre to find that balance. And so again, we went there and I went to Victoria's Secret. And I just kept asking them because I was looking to get some lingerie for my girlfriend who was the bearded lady at the time. So I was just, and they were just freaking out, and then mall security came in through, again, I got thrown out everywhere. So that was the beginning, and then we did a thing for Universal that they recorded out in the theme park. And then we filmed the commercial in a photo booth in Old Amityville. Yeah, I know. So, and that started it. Yeah.
Was there an evolution to Jack's character? I know, I mean, and you could speak to his most recent incarnation where his nose is gnarly now, and it wasn't that gnarly.
Yeah, that's when like Mike and Mike will probably jump in on this. They kind of helped really transform the character.
Where did you first tap into the Jack persona?
My Jack, let's see. Well, I was kind of like given this kind of like, you know, Joker, but I didn't want to be Joker because that's like, you know, obviously some character. So my voice started off originally sort of Joker doing Jack Palance, so it was kind of like an offshoot of the Joker. It was like a weird DNA. So he kind of had the breathing. So he had heavy breath, and also the teeth at the time, which this year the teeth were fantastic, so I didn't have to do that. But there were these hard acrylics, and I just slurred to swallow. So it all kind of became part of the character. And so it was very breathy at the time, and it was sort of that Jack Palance, you, my friend, are gonna go. And so I kind of had that Jack Palance kind of thing. And little as it changed to Carnage and stuff, it's kind of become just my voice in some ways. I don't try to do a lot of the breathing anymore. I don't do any of that stuff. I just kind of place it in a certain place. Occasionally, like a lot of times, she'll tell you this. Usually I use that because I'm trying to think what I'm gonna say. It's my. What am I gonna say without getting fired? Or who am I gonna upset? Come on down in Horror Night. That's usually the creative thing I come up with. Because usually they ask me some question like, so, I can't say this, I can't say that, I can't say this.
Well, it must be really difficult because I know some other people who are very good friends with some villains. And in theme parks, and even at Universal, how can you be a villain but not really make people angry or insulted. Is it? Do you
never worry about that.
Do you find? Are you censoring yourself a lot? Do you almost say something and then go, "Ooh, that's going too far"?
I do, but I realize when you have all that stuff, you get a little bit over it. You can't go super over the line, but you can definitely put your toe over the line. Because if you're just like that and you do an insult, I mean, if you saw the show, I was ripping on some people here and there, and I just knew they knew, like, this is all part of the fun.
Well, I've heard that you were also, as they say in Disney, very close friends with Crush the Turtle.
Crush.
Turtle Talk.
Totally different.
Have you ever been tempted just to break into Jack while you're doing it?
No. I think she knows because you work. I'm like a very once my mind is in the track. Yeah. I'm like once I'm in the zone, I'm like, no, this is Crush, and I'm happy.
Well, that's good news for Disney.
Yeah. And the children. But it happens with Jack and everything else. It's like I know because there's easy things to do as Beetlejuice and Jack or Grinch, and I try to go well, we can. Actually, we kind of bumped into that this year with that because we want to do some pop culture stuff in the show originally. And then we were told automatically that cut. And it was great because it didn't turn into, he wasn't Beetlejuice and he wasn't it was a different vibe. And we weren't competing with the pop culture show, which is Bill and Ted. That's Bill and Ted. We had to have our own identity. And because even the blender, I think one of the first rehearsals, I was like, oh, the blender. How about if I go, watch me whip, watch me puree, watch me whip. And I think that's when I started throwing in how about I just throw in references to past icons in Halloween. So I do as far as that mental state. I know when I'm in Jack, it's you can't do this Grinch, or we can't do Jack. Beetlejuice would be lecherous, or Beetlejuice is almost in the sense of of just goofy. So Jack's not necessarily goofy, so I can't play the goofiness, or I can't play the hardcore, well, it's different, you know what I'm saying?
I think
but it's from the same DNA, that's the hard part.
It's what makes you a professional performer, though, because you are able to get into the character that way, and not vary, stay in the character.
Yeah.
So I think that's a tribute to...
And again, that's where the breathing comes in, because I'm like, no, that's a Beetlejuice line, I'm not going to say that, and then they're like, okay, here's the Jack line, cool. And that's where that kind of pause, or that weird cadence kind of came in, was to give me that moment of going through the Rolodex, figuring out, what are we going to say? Yeah.
Well, this year's show was spectacular. Erin, as Chance, you got to expand the role of Chance beyond anything she's done before, almost being an equal to Jack this year. When did you first portray Chance?
2007. I had just moved to Orlando from London, England. I lived there for several years, and so I came to Orlando. I didn't have a job. I obviously had, been a performer for a long time, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I showed up at these actor auditions, and I knew nothing about performing at theme parks. I had visited them my whole life, but I was just there, and I was a bit strange. I had very short hair. It looked like I'd cut it with a weed whacker. And I wore these, I was listening to a lot of heavy metal at the time, and I was just very different. But I always, and even still, I always gravitate towards these comedic, quirky, monologues and stuff. And so that's what I did, and I did it for Michael Roddy. And I believe Laura was there. There was a bunch of people there, and he flagged me for this role. And I can remember being he brought me in the room by myself, and he's having me do this stuff, and he's talking about this Harley Quinn character. And I'm like, what the hell am I talking about? At the time, and it's blasphemous now because, my fiance is a huge collector, he would kill me, but I had no idea who Harley Quinn was. I'm sorry, at that time. I'm so well versed now. But I didn't know. But I was watching a lot of Rob Zombie films. So I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but my Chance drew inspiration from Baby Firefly and House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. And so and so that the incarnation of Chance was actually, from what I understand, pretty close to, I think, Harley Quinn. And sort of what Michael was kind of after, and so he cast me, and it was this big secret show, and I was like, cool, and I get in there, and I am at the time I'm a voiceover character, which means that I record all of my lines in a sound booth, and just like with Bill and Ted's, I am mouthing the words on stage. And so I did it, and I had, 4 or 5 little lines. We developed the voice, all that stuff. And once we put the show on the stage, and we were rehearsing on the stage, I remember Michael Roddy pulling me aside one day and saying, you know what, I think he had watched me develop and me interact with him, and he said, I'm gonna put a microphone on you. And I didn't realize how cool that was. I didn't realize I was gonna be paid more money, any of this stuff. But he really was birthing something really cool for me, because that role, gave me so many other opportunities. And then obviously that was 2007, and then I came back in 2015 to play a very new version of her, which was, she truly was, she was an equal at this point. In 07, she was a pupil. She was learning. And she was very doll-like in 2007. A lot of my movements were very doll-like, because we had created this backstory of her, and she used to be a doll, and but now she's actually carved into her face that makeup, that there are scars into her face. She's truly, she truly dove in the deep end. And completely succumbed to everything that he wanted her to be.
Are you allowed to say, or is there any sort of canon of what the relationship, and Mike or Roddy might know, the relationship between Chance and Jack?
We have our own stories and stuff, but it's not canon, so that's why it's
Fan fiction.
Fan fiction, yes.
Is there any official of who Chance is? Are they just really good friends?
They did it all. It was a dating hotline. No, actually, Erin, the original backstory for Chance was that she was a doll that Jack kind of imbued with life. And that was the original kernel of the backstory. But the interesting thing about last year, going into the creative, what we wanted the 20th anniversary show to be with Jack and Chance. And if you go on YouTube and look at the show again, Chance does almost everything on stage. She's the heavy. She's the most violent. She's throwing the knife. She's ripping the guy's head off. She's already gotten the victim that's going to go into the blender. She's kind of orchestrating a lot of the things. And Jack really took on, again, that kind of ringmaster, kind of bringing everything together. But she's the most violent character on that stage last year. And that was part of the plan. We wanted her to be this rabid kind of physical entity. But still, the great thing about Chance is that flip of the coin that she has, where she can lure you in that kind of Black Dahlia kind of way, but be this Hannibal Lecter, just like that. That is really cool about the Chance character. But last year, Jack and Chance, it was really about the really great thing about 20th anniversary was we knew Jack was coming back in 24. We did the video at the end of the event that showed just a glimpse of Jack's face, and then that year was just basically trying to figure out how we wanted to present Jack again, and from that we would then figure out Chance. But we were really mysterious with Jack. We held Jack back a lot. We wanted him to be this kind of force that's bigger than he actually is, as far as the campaign was concerned, which is why you didn't see a whole lot of him leading up to the 20th anniversary, and that was all calculated. We wanted the presence of Jack and the anticipation of Jack to grow to a level, and then when he finally reveals himself, that's why that teaser was made the way it was. When he comes into that light, fans that know him, it was like, yes, and oh my gosh, he's completely different. His look, he's grown more evil, if that's possible. He's even aged. We wanted those things. Not James. James is eternal. But those were the things we wanted. We wanted to show passage of time from the 2000 Jack. And there was a great meme that was going around. We didn't put it out, but I saw it online. It was a transition of Jack from 2000 to 2015. It was this really great visual transition of the character. And all that was calculated. We wanted to show that progression. And also the great thing about Jack is when he's away, that want and need just builds and builds and builds. And that's the really beautiful thing about that character that honestly has never been replicated. No other icon has that power that that clown has had, the amazing individual in this room created. That character has it, and he's an entity, he's a force. And then everyone that comes into his world becomes a force as well, which is a really cool thing.
Thank you. I was told, I went through like half the questions I had, and I ended up using up all of our time.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, well, he said.
Yeah. Because I need you guys to go out and bid on things. Drink beer. Yeah, normally each session's about an hour and 15 minutes. We're at an hour and 20 right now. So thanks, right?
Yeah, but did they have great answers?
I like letting these guys talk and
they'll answer your questions later, like if you bump into them back there for sure.
What do you think about this group?
That's it for another unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave us a rating and a review. Listen to us on Stitcher, Google Play, and all your podcast apps. Email us with any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com, or, even better, record your message at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Check out our blog for even more content at uuopodcast.com. And finally, our sponsors, Fairy Godmother Travel, are here to help with all your Universal vacation needs. So check them out today at fairygodmothertravel.com. Well, that's a wrap. See you next week.